Okay, so thank you everybody for coming out today. I'm still waiting on a few people to join us. So in the meantime, we have a survey that you'll find on our screen. And if you could fill out some of the questions there, it'll help to go in a certain direction within the webinar. And it would be great to just get a better idea of what you're looking for in terms of a document management solution, where you're at with your practice right now, a little bit more about how we can help out today. So we'll get started in about 2 minutes, and if you have any questions in the meantime, please feel free to reach out in our chat bar. Thanks. Okay, so that's great. I think that's a good start to the webinar so far. So what I would like to do now is end the poll, and we'll move on with a little bit more about the virtual bookkeeper guide, how to move to the cloud, and most importantly, how LedgerDocs can help you to do this. So I won't go into too much detail with regards to the backstory and the whole virtual bookkeeper side. We'll try to go into the app as soon as possible. But to get a better idea of kind of how LedgerDocs was created and how we can help you move to the cloud, it all kind of starts with our history. So my name is Denny. I am a QuickBooks Pro advisor, and I work with our customer support team and our business development team here at LedgerDocs. So our main goal is to, again, really help bookkeepers move to the cloud, become that whole virtual bookkeeper, and to make sure that they have all the features, the functionality that they need to succeed. Even more than that, what we really strive to do here is use our experience that we have within the industry and to help bookkeepers either with their marketing, with any processes that they have in place, fixed fees, all of that kind of information. And to tell them and speak with them and say, look, this is what we've done, this is how we become successful, and this is what we would recommend doing on your end. So as a quick backstory on LedgerDocs and how it was created, initially we were a bookkeeping accounting firm ourselves, and what we found was being able to embrace these different cloud technologies, whether it's QuickBooks Online or whether it's Xero, whether it's LedgerDocs, you get quite a few benefits that come from that. Some of these include being able to work from anywhere at any time, meaning that you don't need to go to your client's office anymore. Nowadays, you can work remotely. You can work from your own office. You can work from home. Even if you have a vacation, you can work on the beach, finishing those GST and PST deadlines or HST deadlines or any taxes that you need to complete or payroll. You're also less bound by geography, meaning that you can now work with clients throughout North America or even the world for that case. So this is really important because a lot of our users, historically, they have the shoe boxes of documents that come in, old receipts, what have you, and they're really bound by the geography of where they're located. Using these applications like QuickBooks Online or LedgerDocs, for example, you can really strive to go further, whether it's 45 minutes down the road to the other side of the continent. You can really be less bound in that sense, and you can diversify your client base to make sure that anything going on, for example, in Alberta, you don't need to really worry about that economic climate. You can diversify and have clients in BC, or you can have clients in the States, wherever you're located. You also have a lot more collaboration, as I'm sure you all know, given your business owners the ability to log in, to view their financial reports in real time, to print their own checks. There's a lot of work that you can do to collaborate and to give more added value to your clients and make sure that they have what they need. And a lot of these applications, as you get more and more clients on board, you get better pricing included in it. And that kind of thing is you can add to your fixed value pricing. You can create a competitive advantage with regards to other competitors within your industry or within your location. And you can say, look, included in our service, you get QuickBooks Online, or you get a Xero account, you get a LedgerDocs account. These are all the different applications that we include as a value add to our service. So again, as a quick backstory to LedgerDocs and how we became to this point in time. So initially, we were a bookkeeping accounting firm ourselves, located in Vancouver, BC, and through our time, we began hosting accounting applications like QuickBooks Desktop and Simply Accounting. At that time, we found that the biggest thing that we were waiting on, the most time spent, was waiting for client documents, trying to find missing documents, and even just having those shoe boxes dropped off at the office or filled with cat hair and different dirt and all of that, unreadable, what have you. So one thing that we really wanted to do was create a document management app for our own firm to make all of that a lot easier. And as we had more and more programmers working on it, more time spent, more features added, we decided to release it to the public and to really give back to the community and to share our experiences to see, we've done it where we can work with clients all over North America, and we think that everyone else can do that as well. So the main goal for today, of course, is to jump into LedgerDocs, give you an idea of how it works. And if you have any questions throughout this process, please feel free to enter in the chat bar, and we'll happy to answer them either throughout the webinar or afterwards in a quick Q&A session. So we wanted to go through the getting started, how to organize your files, how to invite your team members, how to upload documents, and then working with your accounting application. One thing to take note of is that we do have an integration with QuickBooks Online specifically, but you can work with LedgerDocs with whatever accounting app you're using. So if you're still on desktop or Simply Accounting or Xero, you can still use LedgerDocs as an intermediary and to give your clients a tool to be able to send you their information accurately and on time. So that said, what I'd like to do now is hop into LedgerDocs. For those of you that are just starting to move to the cloud and are looking for some more information, we have a great blog, and I highly recommend you take a look. We have articles about marketing your firm, how to create landing pages, how to gain referrals, everything from marketing to workflow processes to everything you need to know. For the time being, what I'll do is I'll log in under one of our demo accounts. And just as a heads up, we will be sending out a copy of today's webinar as well as a promo code afterwards. And again, we have a 14-day free trial, so if you do like what you see, we highly recommend that you take a look. Test it out yourself, or if you have a couple of clients, and it's a great way just to get started and to see if it's a good fit for your firm. Now, when you first log into LedgerDocs, what you'll see is on the left-hand side would be all the different clients that you have on board within your company. So each client is completely unique in the sense that you have a unique folder structure. You can invite specific members into each of the different clients. So whether it's your staff or whether it's the CEO, the admin person of the company, they can have access to the actual client, and they can have access to the documents within it. And each client also has a unique email address that they can send information to. So what I'll do now is I'll create a new company, and we'll call it AAA Construction. And you'll notice that when you first create this company, it comes with a preset of different folders. So the common workflow for this would be all documents, no matter how they're uploaded, go to the inbox of the company. And then once they're in the inbox, you would file them away to your folder structure. Now this is completely customizable. You can rename, you can add as many as you like. And for example, you just create a subfolder. You can say banking for 2016. And then from there, you can have January, February, March, so on and so forth. A lot of times, bookkeepers would have this set up to resemble a chart of accounts, for example. If there's a lot of vendors that you can have a unique vendor for each one, and then you can just simply file those documents in as soon as you post them to your account application. You can also do it through naming conventions or through alphabetical or through date. So whatever is easiest for you. Now, once it's set up, there's a few ways to be able to get your client started. So we have an email template that makes it really easy for you to send to your clients as you set up the company. It gives them all the information that they need to know in order to upload their documents. So with regards to uploading, we have an iPhone app and an Android app that your clients can use to take a photo of receipts. Really simple in that case, where if, for example, a construction company, they go to Home Depot, they take a photo of their receipt and they can add different notes that are associated with it. For example, this is for job ABC, please post for this certain expense account. We also have, as mentioned, a unique email address for each of your clients. So if you click on the email upload, we can say AAA construction at app.ledgerdocs.com. And again, anything that's sent to this email address will go directly into your inbox. We also have a new integration with ScanSnap. So if you have a ScanSnap cloud, the IX100, the IX500, it's a great tool. You don't need to connect it to your actual computer. You can just scan documents and it goes directly to your client, as well as an integration with Dropbox. So there's a lot of different ways that you can set up your client, and you can give them a lot of tools to be able to upload their documents. And then from that point, again, everything goes to the inbox. So what we'll do is we'll get a few documents in and we can take a look, see how that looks. So we'll do a bank statement, there's some invoices here, and we'll do a couple of receipts, and we'll send that off. So under subject, I'll say office expense, just for argument's sake, and we'll say please post for November. So we'll send that. And what happens in this case, so the client would send that information off to you. They receive an email from LedgerDocs saying the documents were submitted successfully. And from the bookkeeper side, you receive an email every morning from LedgerDocs saying which clients have uploaded documents and how many. Now, more importantly to that, we also have a live dashboard that gives you a better idea of what's going on within your LedgerDocs account. So you can see that AAA Construction, there's a recent upload, only 3 seconds ago. Under the attention bar, there's 3 companies that haven't uploaded documents in over 2 weeks. So we can see which companies those are. If it's regular that AAA Donuts isn't sending you information on a regular basis, maybe they're quarterly, there's no problem. On the other hand, Vandalay Industries usually sends information on a daily basis. You know that there's a problem and that you should probably reach out to them as soon as possible. We also have a request document and upcoming events, as well as notes. So any notes that are associated with the documents that have come in. So now if we go back to the inbox, you can see that we have a few different documents here that are waiting for us to post. So if we click on this document, we see it in high definition. You have all the information you need. For example, you have the office expense and please post for November, which was the notes that were added through either the iPhone app or Android app or the email. And if you're using QuickBooks Desktop or Sage 50 or any of those, at this point you can take this information, you can manually enter it into your accountant application. And the really cool thing about this is that there's a copy link here. So there's a link that's associated with that actual document. You can copy and paste that into the memo or the note section of your accountant app. And if you run report, for example, account payable reports or suspense lists, you can customize that report to add the notes and your client can actually see that original document that you're asking about. So that's kind of the workaround for the Sage 50 and the desktop and the Zero. That said, we do, as mentioned, have an integration with QuickBooks Online, which I'll set up right now, and we'll go back, look at that, and see how it looks. So to set up the integration, if you click on the company name, and then the QuickBooks Online tab here, we go to Connect to QuickBooks. Now I'm already logged in, and under my QuickBooks Online account, we only have the one account. If you have a number of accounts associated under your accountant edition, it'll actually be a list here, and you would just choose whichever company associates with the company in LedgerDocs. So I'll click Browse on that. And that's all done. So very easy to connect. Now, if you go back to the inbox, we'll go to the same document we were just on, and you'll see that this is a little bit different. So you can now select your document type. We'll choose expense for this. Take note that you can also do bills and invoices, which is very unique. Invoices are obviously a really good way just to be able to post those invoices if your clients use Excel spreadsheets or if they're using FreshBooks, for example. It's a great way to get those in quickly. So we'll choose expense. We'll do today's date, so we'll do 12/01/16. We'll enter the payee information, so supplies for you. So what you'll notice here is that it is more of a manual entry. We do not do OCR, and there is a reason for that as well. One thing that we found within our own practice is that we've spent a lot of time using OCR, the different applications that are doing it, and there's a lot of mistakes that happen through that process. So we found that there's a lot of time spent going back trying to figure out where the mistakes were, how to fix them, and then on an ongoing basis is always double checking the summaries, always double checking the transactions, making sure that they're accurate. So what we found was if you're going to do it, just do it right the first time. The first time that you fill out an expense or invoice or bill, it is a manual entry process. The second time you do it, however, you click on the supplies for you, and you'll see that it actually remembers that previous transaction. You would just double check, make sure that the amount's right. In this case, it is, and you would post it. One other thing to take note of is that all of the information here, the expense, the payees, the expense accounts, the tax codes, everything is live fed from your QuickBooks Online account, which is great because as long as it's set up in QuickBooks Online, it is guaranteed to be 100% accurate in LedgerDocs. So again, this is good for meals and entertainment expenses, any specific tax codes that you have. If it's QST in Quebec, if it's a tax code in the US, anything like that, again, as long as it's set up in QuickBooks Online, you're good to go. You can also add classes for job costing. We have a question here, can you add customers for job costing? So we do have a class where you can set up a specific job for each class, and then you would just choose which one it associates with. So that's a great way to keep track in QuickBooks Online of different jobs and how much is going and how much is going out for each. So at this point now, we'll send this off. And again, the common process here is all different documents go to the inbox for that company. Once you've posted that transaction, at this point you can rename the document. So we can say supplies for you November. This is something that quite a few bookkeepers do. They get in the habit of just renaming documents so they can search for it easily down the road. You can add tags if you like. So tags are something that you can add. For example, if you have a fixed asset, you can add a fixed asset tag to any of those documents. And at the end of the year, just simply search for that tag. Everything with it will come up, and you just know right away what you need to do, whether it's post the transactions, amortize them, whatever that function is. And then lastly, you would file this away. So we'll file this to, just for argument's sake, payables. And it just moves to the next document in the inbox, and you just keep on moving through the inbox until it's clear. So it's that whole idea of inbox zero. So now if we just take a step back, what I'll do is we'll go into QuickBooks Online, and we'll see that transaction there. As you can see, this is the accountant edition. I think most of you probably know this part of it. So if we go to the latest transaction, you see all the information is here. Under the memo, there's entered via LedgerDocs, the attachment below. And then in the attachment section, there's a view original document. And if you click on this link, it actually brings you back into LedgerDocs where you have all that information like the tags and the notes, the ability to file it away. Everything's there waiting for you. So we have a couple questions here. First off, what is the OCR capability? So as mentioned, we actually don't do OCR. It's something that we've consciously decided not to. And again, the reason behind that is within our own firm, as well as a lot of the users working with LedgerDocs, they've all kind of been through before where there's been some sort of problem. OCR is only about 97% accurate, if that. And what we found is that there are mistakes that happen, and the time spent going back to look at the mistakes and making sure that everything is correct you do lose quite a bit of time doing that. But more importantly, people that we've found, they double check every transaction anyways. So if you are using OCR, they go through every piece of information anyways. So we found that doing it just yourself the first time, it guarantees that it's accurate. Especially if you have staff that you're working with, it's more of a manual process. So it really forces them to take a look at the document, to post it accurately, and then to file it away. And that was our whole thinking behind LedgerDocs and making sure that it's the way it is. So I guess at the end of the day, what we've tried to do is give more control to the bookkeeper, but at the same time making sure that it's as streamlined as possible. So we also have a question, if it's a bank statement and I want to integrate it for a bank reconciliation in QuickBooks, is that possible? So absolutely. Bank statements can be sent to LedgerDocs, so you can view that information within LedgerDocs and just make sure that everything is reconciled. As you probably know, you can also automate the bank transactions within QuickBooks Online, which is a great function for QBO. So what you would be doing with that is, obviously this would be posted as an expense, and then it should match up with your actual transaction with QuickBooks Online. So you would just simply click on the match icon, and then everything would be lined up, and you would have your source document attached to that as well. So that's kind of the benefit of having the source document always attached to that transaction, is that if you want to double check the work that your bookkeeper is doing, or if the client wants to double check to make sure that this is proper, this is I want to pay this expense, whatever that is, or pay that bill, then having that source document always attached is really great. So if we go back to LedgerDocs, the one other thing I wanted to show you, and again, there's quite a bit of functionality built into the app. A lot of it's more on the workflow management side, so with the live dashboard and being able to invite your bookkeepers into specific clients. We've really built it around that. So one thing that we found, again, and I think you all agree based on the initial poll as well, is that there's a lot of time still spent waiting on client documents. QuickBooks Online at one point had a great feature where you could actually request documents specifically from your clients, and they unfortunately took that out of the app. It is something that we loved. So what we decided to do was actually have a request document feature as well, where you can enter the name of the person. So if they're already invited into the app, it'll pop up. In this case, we'll do Denny at LedgerDocs.com. You can enter the subject, so please send info. And then you can enter the different documents that you want them to send. So you can send bank statement, for example, credit card, and whatever information it is. And at that point, you can schedule this reminder. So you can schedule it to go out on a weekly, a monthly, quarterly, annual basis, whatever that is. You can also add things like remember to pay your GST, or remember to send invoices, whatever reminder that is. And LedgerDocs will send that on your behalf, so you don't need to worry about sending them the constant emails. I know a lot of bookkeepers, they really don't want to be consistently kind of nagging the client and making sure and sending emails and phone calls. It's not something that you want to take on. So what we found was this is a good way. It's kind of a third party that goes in, sends it on your behalf. If they've already sent it, it's great. But if they haven't, it's a great reminder, and they have all the information, like the links to log into LedgerDocs, the email address to send information to, all of that info right there. So we have a quick question, can you show that receipt in QuickBooks Online? Absolutely. So again, if we go to the document here, and under View Original Document, you click on that link. And again, it brings you back into LedgerDocs, so that all that information is right there waiting for you. The notes, the tags, the ability to rename the info, all of that info there. Yeah, for sure. Sorry. So under the attachment section here, again, it's just this link. And then if you click on the link, it opens in a new window. Does that work? And again, if there are any questions afterwards too, I'm happy to help out, maybe go through some things on one-on-one if there's anything substantial that you want to go through. So the one last thing I would like to go through quickly, again, so having the source document attached to the transactions in QuickBooks Online, obviously the benefits are huge for that. If you are using the desktop applications like Sage 50 or QuickBooks Desktop, you can also link it the same way as what you see in QuickBooks Online. That is more of a manual process, but you still gain the ability to have, you know, the inbox, the workflow management tools within LedgerDocs, as well as having the tools for your clients to be able to send you their documents virtually. And then we also have a strong search capability as well. So under the advanced search, you can search obviously from within specific companies, or you can search the entire database. And you can search based on the notes or the file names. You can search based on the tags, the date uploaded, or by the different folders. So again, that's a great way as well, just to be able to have all your information in one place, to know exactly where your info is. And I mean, at the end of the day, we've kind of built this more as a virtual filing cabinet, where it's an independent application from the different applications out there, so you can really use it with whatever you need to use. Yes, you can search by date of the invoice, or you can search by the date uploaded, not specifically by date of invoice. But again, if you are using the integration with QuickBooks Online, or if you set it up with the desktop or the Sage 50, you can still actually look, and you can search by the date of invoice. Yeah, good question. So can I ask workflow suggestion? Say you're dealing with 5 people submitting receipts for credit card accounts. Is there a way to see who uploaded the receipt, or would they have to write down their name? So yeah, there are different ways to do this. So under the document here, if we click on this, you can see the email generated note. So you do know that it came from an email. Let me see. Okay, so there's not necessarily a way to see who uploaded what. Under the AAA construction here, we can see that the user Susan Shaw posted this document, and they've, you know, there is some audit trail in that case. So if they actually log in and upload to inbox, then it would actually show who's uploaded what information. And if you do have people who are doing that, actually logging in and being able to see the different info within the LedgerDocs company, we do have a private folder as well. So the private folder is something where you can invite specific members into the actual application. And then once you've invited them in, you can create subfolders in here. So you can do payroll, for example, or you can do financial reports, anything that you want more private and you don't want the employees to see. And you can invite specific members into this private folder as well. So for the time being, what we'll do is actually I'll just move back to our PowerPoint, because I have a pricing structure there for you as well. So with regards to the pricing and how that works, it's about $10 per month per client that you have on board. The client refers to that list of clients on the left-hand side. So within that, you can have as many people invited into the application as you need. So there's no limit on the amount of members that you have. You can also have as many transactions sent to QuickBooks Online as you need as well. And there's no limit on space, so you can have as much space as you need. One other thing that's, I believe, unique to us is that you can have any type of document you need. So whether it's an Excel sheet, a Word document, QuickBooks Desktop backups, Sage 50 backups, PDFs, images, all of those different images you can actually keep within LedgerDocs, and you can use them within LedgerDocs. So there's a couple questions. Yeah, so the website pricing plans, they do indicate that there are space limits. For the time being, we do not have any limits on space, so you can definitely just disregard that. And with regards to the ScanSnap integration, so I assume many of you are using ScanSnap. Fujitsu ScanSnap is a great scanner, and there's a couple of different ones that they have. So they have an IX100, which is great for business owners. It's a little tiny scanner. It does about 15 pages per minute or 12 pages per minute. And how the integration works is that you actually set it up through Wi-Fi. So it doesn't have to be actually connected to your computer. And then there's the IX500 as well, which is a little bit more expensive, but it's a great scanner. I highly recommend it for any of the firms out there. It scans like 1,000 pages per minute. Don't quote me on that, but it is a really great piece of hardware. So same idea where it sets up through your Wi-Fi. You don't actually need to connect it to a computer or anything like that. And how it works is, as soon as you scan a document, it recognizes if it's a receipt or if it's a document or a business card, anything like that. And you can choose different applications to send them to. So if it's a business card, you can send it to a business card application. If it's a receipt or if it's a document like a bank statement or what have you, then you can send it directly to QuickBooks Online. And how that would work is it goes, again, directly to the inbox of that client that you're working on. And if you want to switch whatever that client is, you can switch that within LedgerDocs. So you can choose which one that you want to send to. I hope that helps. Maybe, Lisa, what we can do is we can schedule a call later on and we can go more in depth on how to set it up. I'll also send some more information on that as well. So the one last thing, I don't want to keep you guys for too long. So I did want to thank you for attending today. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join us, and we always love to show the app and to make sure that you guys have all the features that you need to be successful. Any feedback that you have is always appreciated. So what I'll make sure to send an email out afterwards with a copy of the webinar as well as some more information. And if you have any feedback on the webinar or the app or the features that you've seen so far, definitely let us know. We're happy to listen to that. And we also have a webinar 25 promo code. So if you sign up today, you have 25% off your account. Again, we do have a 14-day free trial, so it works really well just to be able to take a look, test it out with either your own company or with a couple clients that you have on. And at that point, you have a good idea of how it works within your firm. You get a better understanding. And again, our support team here is always happy to walk through anything with you. So if you do have any questions, I will be here for a couple minutes. Again, happy to help out. And afterwards, we'll make sure to get in touch with you all and just see how it's going. Martin, you're killing me here. Okay, so Lisa, can you expand on the level of approval? And in the meantime, Martin will I'll show you that right now. Okay, so this is the transaction in QuickBooks Online. So you can see all the information is here. Under the attachment section, if you click on this link, it'll bring up the document within LedgerDocs. So the document's always attached to that transaction, right? So what we can do is if we go back into this, and under here we can choose suppliers. So you can see all the different bills here, the expenses, all this different information. So if we click on the bill type, so we'll choose this. So now you see the view original document. So no matter what it is, it's always attached to that document. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. So if you go back to the inbox, we'll go to this Toys R Us one. So you can choose again bill, invoice, or expense. So we'll do expense for this, and then under the payee information or the customer. So with this, you can actually quickly add a customer, or you can quickly add a payee, anything like that. Again, everything here is set up from the QuickBooks Online file. So you can just choose the Toys R Us. Yeah, and then the account. So the same deal for the account. Everything is live fed here. And you can just quickly search for the account. So again, if you do office expense, or if the account's not there for whatever reason, if it's not set up, the one at the top. Oh, I see, I see. So the check and the credit card. So you can either do credit card or bank, right? I'm glad we're working through this. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the expenses for sure. And then Lisa, I saw yours kind of quickly go by there. So usually for at least for how our bookkeepers work, once the expense or once the bill, for example, has gone into LedgerDocs, we assume that it's being approved, and that's something that that we've kind of done with our processes. Now we've worked quite a bit with Pluto, and those guys are awesome. I don't know if any of you have worked with them, but that's a great kind of segue to be able to approve different bills, approve different invoices, and you also get the payment sent out or paid to you as well. And it's not necessarily an integration that we have with Pluto, but you can use it obviously as an intermediary again. So in this case, you send the bill to QuickBooks Online. At that point, Pluto would actually take that bill and they put it into their account payable report. They send it off to the person who's in charge of approval process, and then they would submit it, and it comes back into it gets back into QuickBooks Online as an expense. So that's a great way because obviously with LedgerDocs, the document is always attached to it. So in the account payable list, they have a PDF. You can quickly search that PDF. It pops up within LedgerDocs, and they have all, again, the information they need to make sure that it's approved and the information is correct. So that's how, well, basically, yeah, that's how all of our bookkeepers work. I think most of the users that are using LedgerDocs are doing it the same way, where as a document is pushed into LedgerDocs, then it's kind of meant to be approved already. And if not, then it's posted as a bill, and then you can use a third-party app like Pluto to make sure the approval process is good. So with regards to attachment or receipt after a transaction has already been posted, that's a very good question. So again, what we have is we have a link here, and this link is always attached to the source document. So in that case, it is more of a manual process where you have to find the original document in QuickBooks Online, and then you would just copy and paste that link into the memo. But it works the same way as what it would if with the actual integrations. It's just more of a manual process. And again, in the Aptic desktop and in Sage 50, you can customize those reports as well. So when you're doing a suspense list or an account payable report, you can have that link attached. When you export it to an XLV file, it makes it really easy just to double click, and then the actual image will pop up too. So really cool. Again, most of our users are working with QuickBooks Online, but we also have quite a few users are either switching between QuickBooks Online and desktop and Sage, or they actually use desktop full out. So it's not a problem using LedgerDocs with that. It's a great workflow tool, and yeah, I mean, again, people really love the fact that we don't have OCR, but it is a more streamlined version of doing it the old-fashioned way. So I think hopefully, again, everybody can test out the trial. If you do have any questions, we're happy to help out. I'm being sincere, not cheeky. It's a good question. So why would I use LedgerDocs instead of HubDoc or ReceiptBank? So again, I mean, those are the kind of the three main apps out there, right? It's HubDoc, ReceiptBank, and LedgerDocs. I think there's pros and cons to all of them. From the LedgerDocs point of view, what most of the users that are working with us have said is that honestly they've tested out all the different apps out there. And the one thing that we get a lot of feedback on is, and it goes back to my initial comments, the OCR is not perfect, right? It's not 100%. So what they want to do is have more control over their workflow, having the different folder structures, being able to have all the information in LedgerDocs and staying in LedgerDocs is actually really ideal. And being able to add your bookkeepers to specific companies, do that work, have more control over the actual entry of the information, and then sending it off. That's a really big thing for us. The other thing too is that we do have the experience within the industry. So again, LedgerDocs was really built, at least initially, through our own firm. So everything you see within LedgerDocs in terms of features is all there for a reason, and it's all been really well thought out with regards to the processes that have been put in place. And as we have more and more users, of course, working, we take their feedback as well and make sure that it's always evolving and always making sure that that the information is there and the features are working really well. So for us, we've really strived to be more of a manual, more control-oriented process, but you also get a lot of the streamlined, good stuff from that as well. I hope that helps. Okay, great. So again, I don't want to take too much of your time, but I will stick around while the questions are still coming in. And again, for those of you that are sticking around for a little bit, I will send a recording of today's webinar as well, so you can take a look afterwards and see these great questions coming in. Yeah, no worries, no worries. It's good. The question and answer period is always the most interesting, and I think the people that do stick around, they get the most out of it. So I know there's some quiet people in there, but I know you're sticking around because you're really interested in these comments. So again, at this point, thanks again so much for coming out, and thanks for the questions. We really do appreciate it, and I'll be sure to get in touch afterwards with everyone. Have a great rest of your day.